OJ should have kept on throwing, for the Jets defense held him to under 3 yards a try. The Jets defense was considered a shaky question mark for the upcoming season, but it was their defense and special teams that put this game on ice long before it was over. Steve Tannen set up the Jets' first touchdown with this theft, one of 2 he would get in the game. The talented third-year cornerback is out of the Jets' doghouse this season, starting again and being touted for All-Pro by the Jets organization. Another young defender, safety Chris Farasopoulos, scored the second Jets touchdown that put New York up 14-0 in the first quarter. The Jets had another new look, a healthy Joe Namath. And Joe Willie opened his 8th year with his 50-yard slingshot as accurate as ever. Namath's protection was flawless, as was his deception. He only completed 5 of 14, but they were good for over 100 yards and a touchdown. But it was the Jets' line and runners that carried New York's offense. Number 44, second-year man John Riggins began his quest for 1,000 yards by ripping off 125 yards. And Emerson Boozer, number 32, scored 3 times, once as a receiver and twice on the ground as the Jets' running attack chewed up almost 200 yards, en route to a crushing 41-24 victory over Buffalo. With a healthy Namath, the Jets should remain contenders. The only question of the day was why Coach Saban was smiling after the game. Perhaps it was a smile of relief that after 60 exasperating minutes, peace had finally come to War Memorial Stadium. In any event, a stadium banner ironically forecast things to come in Buffalo.
The quaint high tops and bandy legs of Johnny Unitas. Articles of sports memorabilia. Thought to be obsolete beside Joe Willie's white shoes. With difficult seasons behind them, 2 of pro football's most storied passers met before a capacity crowd in Baltimore's Memorial Stadium. A perfect setting for a fine afternoon filled with flying footballs. But when the air cleared, the game exceeded everyone's expectations. To begin his memorable debut in Baltimore, Joe Namath found Eddie Bell for a 65-yard touchdown play. When Bobby Howfield missed the conversion, the Jets settled for a 6-0 lead. But John Unitas, looking like the All-Pro of the early 60s, was not about to step aside for Joe Willie's white shoes. And 2 series later, Unitas capped a 9-play drive with a 40-yard flea flicker from Unitas to Matty to Unitas to Havrelak and a 7-6 lead. In the second period, on first down, Namath found John Riggins behind Lonnie Hepburn, and Riggins tied the score at 13 after a 67-yard play. After the Jets were offside on the ensuing kickoff, Don McCauley received at his 7 and burned 93 yards, resetting the Colts' lead at 20-13. Then Joe Willie began undressing the famous Baltimore zone, finding Ed Bell for a 42-yard gain. And on the next play, Namath hit Don Maynard for a 28-yard rip in the seam of the Baltimore zone. Following a fumble, Namath rang up his third touchdown pass in 1 minute and 29 seconds, this time passing 10 yards to Rich Castor. Unitas put the Colts on the comeback trail, hitting Sam Havrelak down the sideline. But the Colts could not score, and Jim O'Brien's field goal attempt from the 19 was wide as the half ended. Beginning the fourth period, the methodical Unitas marshaled a 14-play drive capped by Don McCauley's 1-yard run at left guard, making the score 30-27. But the Jets give it, and Namath taketh away. One play later, as Joe hit Rich Castor on an 80-yard up for his 5th touchdown pass and a 37-27 lead. Undaunted, Unitas then climaxed a 10-play drive, pitching a 22-yard touchdown pass to Tom Matty, as the Colts refused to yield. But one play later, Joe hit Rich Castor over Rex Kern, ending one of pro football's most exciting afternoons. In all, Namath and Unitas netted 822 yards passing, the third highest combined total in NFL records. For Joe Willie, it was a great belated debut in Baltimore. For the Jets, it was their first victory over the Colts since Super Bowl III. After a great struggle, defeat is always the most unpalatable. But this afternoon, this game resulted in more than a loss and a win. This was a victory for pro football, in which the Jets outscored the Colts 44-34.
They call him the Little Giant. He's Weeb Ewbank, coach of the New York Jets, and he's seen a lot happen in his pro football career. Last week, he came back to Baltimore to face Don McCafferty's Colts, and any time the two teams meet, Ewbank's role comes to mind. He's the man who coached the Colts and Johnny Unitas through their glory years, then went to New York and brought Joe Namath to the Jets and defeated his old team in the first AFL Super Bowl victory, a key factor in bringing about a merger of the two leagues. Since then, the Colts have remained strong, while Ewbank's Jets have been up and down. But any time the two teams meet, the greatest interest has to be the anticipated duel of two pairs of shoes and the men who fill them. Johnny Unitas and Joe Namath have never really gone head-to-head for a whole game. In the Super Bowl, Unitas didn't play until the end, and since then, it is said, he has been on the decline. The Colts and Jets have played 4 times since then. The Colts have won all of them, but Joe Namath missed 3 of those games. In the 4th, he broke his hand before the game was over. And so last week, Namath was healthy and ready to try his golden hand once again at defeating the man he idolized as a kid. The man who was voted the greatest quarterback of the century, who plays for a team with the best pass defense in the league. Wherever Namath goes, his followers come to watch and enjoy the proceedings. Last week, they should have brought champagne, but to pass medium to long. His first completion was significant because the man who caught it was Ed Bell, the Jets' 5'9" wide receiver, who some thought was too small to make it. Namath went for Bell again deep, and the result was 6 points on a 65-yard touchdown. On a repeat of the play, watch Namath's pocket form on his quick drop back. The pass was perfect, allowing Bell to slow up and catch it while both Colt safeties, Rick Volk and Jerry Logan, slipped, and Bell outraced Charlie Stukes to the end zone. It was unusual enough to see the Colts' deep zone beaten for a touchdown at all, let alone this early in the game. But it was only the beginning. The point after failed, and the Jets led 6-0. On a repeat, watch the Jets' Philbin beat his man Dennis Nelson to unite us for the sack. In a game where passing was so paramount, the line play often goes unnoticed, but is of course just as important as the pass and the catch. The Jets' defense tightened up near the goal. Mark Lomas, number 84, got to unite us on second down from the 18. And on third down, seeing Tom Matty covered, Unitas turned and went for Spirer, but sophomore Rich Sowles, number 46, saved a score. The Colts again settled for a Jim O'Brien field goal. But this was the second straight series they came away with 4 points less than they could have, a fact which would be forgotten in the barrage of yardage that was to follow. Namath figured passing medium and long was his only chance, and here he went to Rich Castor, his tight end, who would loom even larger in the second half. On the play, the Jets' chances seemed to diminish, however, when center John Schmidt had to leave with an injury, backup guard to replace him. Schmidt's absence may have demoralized the rest of the line, for on the next play, we can see that Namath almost didn't get the pass off. But let's see what happened on the play. It's a testimony to how great Namath really is, although you never could tell from Namath's reaction to the event. On the play, Roy Hilton got his hand up in Namath's face, but Joe Willie fired a perfect 40-yard strike to set back Riggins, who easily beat Lonnie Hepburn to the goal, answering any doubts as to John Riggins' speed. The Jets had tied the score at 13. Namath on the following series, as he again dared the Colts zone to stop him, and Eddie Bell once again was there, 40 yards downfield between defenders Logan and Volk, two of the best in the game. But Logan and Volk were up against the best in the game, and on the next play, again having all the time in the world, Namath found Don Maynard for his only catch of the game, a touchdown. On a repeat, we can see that linebacker Ray May was now trying to stop Eddie Bell at the line, fearing him the most. So this time Namath crossed them up by going for Maynard, who had slipped into the open area in front of the safeties, and Namath again hit his target perfectly in stride. Unitas's offense lasted one play after the score. Sacked by Philbin, Lomas recovered for the Jets on the Colts' 10, in another key play by the defense, which would perhaps be forgotten. Namath hadn't thrown too many 10-yarders in this game, but this one, like the 40-yarders, also came quick and easy. Rich Castor screened out Logan and made the catch. In just 3 minutes, the game had seen 4 touchdowns. Namath had thrown 67, 28, and 10-yard scores in the span, giving him 4 for the half, good for 281 net yards passing against a secondary that normally gives up 3 or 4 touchdown passes in a season. Excellent results. Little Eddie Bell pulled in his 7th reception of the day on the Colts' 23. The 2 long tries to Bell had loosened the Colt defense enough to try the ground game again. And with Emerson Boozer out, Namath simply handed the ball to John Riggins. The 230-pound fullback from Kansas ran the ball 3 consecutive times for huge chunks of yardage through one of the game's greatest ground defenses. So successful was the ground game that when a snap from center was bobbled, Joe Namath made a few yards himself. But after that highly unlikely occurrence, Broadway Joe returned to John Riggins, who again carved out yardage against the proud Baltimore defense. In this one series, Riggins carried 6 times for 43 yards. Today, he gained 87 yards for the entire game to go with his 125-yard game in the season's opener. Two plays later, New York was faced with a third down situation, and Riggins got the ball again. This time, the Colts made the big defensive play and stopped the Jets short of the first down. But the man who made it, Rick Volk, paid the price of dealing head-on with John Riggins. The 6-year safety from Michigan had made a great individual defensive play that had taken a knee in the head to go with it. But Volk only missed a few plays and was shortly back in the lineup. Bobby Howfield was called in for a 14-yard chip shot that increased New York's lead to 10 points, 30-20. Not for long. For New York's first play of the next series, Namath really let it fly. Namath and Rich Castor had combined for a 74-yard pass play. A repeat shows Namath had to unload quickly, and Lonnie Hepburn just missed making the save. After that, it was all Rich Castor, as the big tight end went in for the score with Rick Volk trailing him. With startling suddenness, the Jets had regained their 10-point lead. Moment of glory was again brief for Baltimore because again on first down, Broadway Joe Namath went for the bomb and got it. His slingshot found Rich Castor again, and the 6'5" converted tight end scored an 80-yard touchdown, his third of the day. This was finally the play that broke the game open, and Joe Namath seemed to realize it as he happily returned to the bench to congratulate Rich Castor. Across the field on another bench, another quarterback had a different reaction. Even though there were 5 minutes left in the game, the Colts again trailed by 10. They were finished, and John Unitas must have known it as he wearily trudged on the field for another try. It was in vain. As his teammates watched, the Jets' containing defense allowed bits and pieces of yardage, but brought the Baltimore offense up short when it counted. The clock ran out to give New York its first regular season win ever over the Baltimore Colts. Of course, in 1969, the Jets won the big one. The man most responsible for that great victory had just as much reason to smile for this one. For Joe Namath had pierced Baltimore's vaunted zone defense for the incredible total of 496 yards and 6 touchdown passes. Both he and Unitas had combined for 822 yards through the air, over 1/2 mile. More importantly, New York is now 2-0, the Colts 0-2, and the pressure is really on for them to make the playoffs. For the Jets, however, the prospects are excellent. For as long as Broadway Joe Namath remains healthy, even the Colt fans would agree.
And Joe Namath had the Jets on the board the first time he got the ball. Jerome Barkham's catch and run put the Oilers in a hole, and Joe decided to bury them. The second time the Jets got the ball, Joe hit a streaking Rich Castor, who didn't quite make it in. And when number 19, Willie Alexander, stopped number 36, Steve Harkey, the Jets were forced to settle for a field goal in a 10-0 lead. Hitters. Namath, the Jets are never done. He hit Rich Castor over the middle, and the Jets trailed 26-20. And with time almost gone, they got another chance. It was that old story again. Namath firing and the Jets threatening. But this time it was an empty threat, as J.W. Namath's pass was cut off by number 33, Benny Johnson, who sealed the Oiler victory 26-20. Sundays in New York can be a pleasant time, especially if you're among the Shea Stadium faithful who come to see another exciting chapter in the saga of the man with the eggshell knees. The man, of course, is Joe Namath. As he goes, so go the Jets. Facing the man last week was the machine, an awesome powerhouse built by head coach Don Shula. From a joke to challenger to the team to beat in just 3 years, Shula built his machine in a series of interchangeable parts. These parts have meshed to make Miami the only undefeated team in the NFL this season. The man went after the machine early by picking away at the underneath coverage in the Miami zone. Namath controlled Miami with a carefully measured 13-play drive, which culminated in a 1-yard touchdown to give the Jets an early 7-0 lead. Jerome Barkham was ruled down on the 6-inch line where it was 1st and goal. There was a time when a touchdown from inches was a foregone conclusion against the Dolphin defense, but this series demonstrated how far Shula has brought his team. They rose up to stop New York 3 straight times. Namath even gave it a crack, but the Jets had to settle for a field goal. New York was still in the ballpark with Miami ahead 27-17, but the potential Namath fourth quarter rally never came off. Last week, the brisk New England breezes were great for showing off flags in the pregame show. But gusts of 35 miles per hour posed a problem for exponents of wide-open football. A foremost exponent is number 12, Joe Namath, a pure passer who also proved to be mighty fine pure handoff man. Namath opened the game with 11 straight running plays, with number 32 Emerson Boozer and number 44 John Riggins rolling up the yardage. Riggins capped the drive to give the Jets a quick 7-0 lead. For the Patriots, brash young Jimmy Plunkett decided to challenge the wind with his cannon. The breezes seemed to bother New England's receivers more than its quarterback, so Plunkett also turned to the run. Number 30, Carl Garrett, high-stepped in, but with the game now a test of ground power, the Patriots were hopelessly outmatched. While Boozer juked his way for huge gains, Riggins blasted up the middle with 32 carries for 168 yards. Boozer was not as prolific, but almost as productive. On 18 carries, Boozer gobbled up 150 yards. Boozer blasted the Patriots clear out of Schaefer Stadium as the Jets rolled to an insurmountable lead. On this windy day, Joe Namath was content to play a supporting role, but he did sneak in one moment of glory. Number 88, Rich Castor, came up with Namath's one shot at the end zone, and then the Jets went back to proving they are more than the one-man team some experts think them to be. Fittingly, Emerson Boozer's third touchdown run of the afternoon closed out the game in a 41-13 New York victory. On a day when Joe Namath threw only 8 passes for 63 yards, the Jets still scored 41 points to stay within sight of the streaking Miami Dolphins.
The Jets-Colts series already has a rich tradition behind it, and last year's games did nothing to damage it. Marty Domrey's made his starting debut the second time the two played and found himself in a swirl. The Jets took a 2-touchdown lead on the exciting catches of Rich Castor, the remarkable running of John Riggins, and the superb play calling of Namath. But Domrey's resurrected the Colts and passed them into a 2017 lead with time only for one last drive. Namath went for it all, a 50-yard prayer. It was answered by little Eddie Bell, who could not contain his joy and set off a celebration not seen since the Beatles appeared here so long ago. How sweet it was.
Against New England last week, Joe Namath's first pass of the day was on target. But Steve Harkey, number 36, and Don Maynard, number 13, combined to lose the ball, and the Patriots marched to an early 3-0 lead. Jim Plunkett had problems too. In fact, he suffered through what he called the worst day he ever had, with 3 interceptions and only 7 completions in 28 attempts. Number 14, Plunkett's backup, Brian Dowling of Yale, had problems of a different kind. This spectacular completion was good for a net gain of -4 yards. Joe Namath has a different approach to the same problem. He doesn't scramble or run or try to hide. He just gets down, and fast. Usually, however, Namath gets rid of the ball, and invariably it's near a receiver who is often racing for the end zone. Rich Castor couldn't hold on for a touchdown, so Namath called on the man who just 2 weeks before had scored 3 touchdowns in New England, number 32, Emerson Boozer. This was Boozer's 9th touchdown of the season. Moments later, Boozer had his 10th of the season, thanks to a good block by number 67, guard Dave Herman. In the third quarter, Namath beat a Patriot blitz by again handing off to Emerson Boozer. For the third time this year, Boozer had scored 3 touchdowns in a game, and his 11 touchdowns made him the league's scoring leader through the first half of the season. Mopping up in the fourth quarter, number 15, Bob Davis, threw the game's only touchdown pass to Rich Castor. As for the second time this season, the AFC's top-ranked offense rolled over the AFC's bottom-ranked defense, this time by a score of 34-10. But Namath measured a 40-yard drive in 7 plays, sending John Riggins over right tackle to leave the first period tied 7-7. It looked as if the Jets were in control when Kilmer again sighted long for Jefferson and found the Jets' number 48, Gus Holloman, who added a 25-yard return. But New York was made to settle for a field goal and a 10-7 lead. In the fourth period, Joe Namath hit Don Maynard with a 15-yard scoring pass to make it Jets 17, Redskins 28. At Shea Stadium, the New York Jets didn't exactly exceed their budget for an extravagant pregame show. But while the pageantry was a one-man show, the game was a showcase for a 40-man effort by the Jets. First came John Riggins, who sprinted to what he saw as a certain score. Riggins was adamant but lost the argument, so on the very next play he settled the war of words with a bellicose blast that had the referee on tiptoes. Then Joe Namath let loose a screamer that Tony Green tipped like a volleyball into the hands of Jerome Barkham. Namath built a 24-3 halftime lead with this floater to Emerson Boozer, who was unattended in the end zone. It was a sorry day for the Dennis Shaw-led Bills. Shaw was sacked 7 times for nearly 80 yards and losses, and 3 times the alert Jets intercepted him. Just about everything Namath tried seemed to work. Once he tossed one up for grabs, and Rich Castor stole a touchdown from number 47, Leon Guerin. With a 31-3 lead, Bob Davis replaced Namath, but when number 40, Hank Bjorklund, missed a blitz, Davis was hammered. But being from Princeton, Bjorklund proved a fast learner, and the Ivy League zone ran neatly under a Davis lob. From the 9, Davis arched a pass toward the flag that nestled nicely into the arms of Jerome Barkham. Barkham's touchdown buried the Bills 41-3 as New York kept alive their hopes of becoming the wild card team in the AFC playoffs.
Has been sidelined most of the season, yet the Dolphins continue to be undefeated. Reese's broken leg has introduced a new Dolphin hero, but an old Orange Bowl face, Earl Morrall. The 38-year-old quarterback has done so well that going into last Sunday's game, Miami had the opportunity to be the first team this year to clinch a division title. A victory over the Jets would accomplish this, and it is only week number 10. Creasy's injury has brought about an interesting rematch today. For in this same Orange Bowl in 1969, Earl Morrall, then a Colt, was the victim of Joe Namath's guaranteed Super Bowl upset. Today, as 4 years ago, the pressure is on Namath and New York, for the Jets must duel for their very lives. The Eastern Division title is all but beyond their reach, but they still can squeeze into the playoffs as the wild card in the AFC. So this is a big one for both teams as the Miami Dolphins try to clinch its title and run the unbeaten streak to 10 games in a bid to attain the first unbeaten season since the Cleveland Browns did it 24 years ago. For the New York Jets, led by Joe Namath, today is a fight for survival. Miami defense in a five-man zone to negate Namath's long ball striking ability. Broadway Joe was to do a lot of throwing to his fine running backs, number 44, John Riggins, and number 32, Emerson Boozer. Both, of course, are fine runners and good receivers, and together they give the Jets as fine a pair of setbacks as there is in the NFL. Boozer leads the league in touchdowns with 13, and Riggins, number 44, is third in the AFC in rushing. After the two jetbacks moved the ball into Dolphin territory, Joe Namath unleashed a pass to Rich Castor that brought the Jets to the Miami 11-yard line. Getting great protection from his offensive line, Namath returned to Castor again by spearing him over the middle. Castor's catch brought him just 1 yard short of the goal line. From the one, Namath returned to the ground, and his toughest runner, Riggins, who ran over free safety Jake Scott for the touchdown that tied the game 7 apiece. Any thoughts of a runaway the Dolphin crowd of over 80,000 might have entertained after Miami's early touchdown had to be dispelled by the methodical ease with which the Jets marched downfield against the Miami defense. The kickoff following New York's score went to Mercury Morris, who burned to the 20, where he endured one of the hardest hits you'll ever see in football. Morris's fumble was recovered by Jim Mandich. A slow-motion look at the great play made by number 63, bomb spotter Roy Kirksey, shows the force of his tackle, the fumble, and Mandich's recovery. Despite the great year he's having, Mercury still retains a tendency to cough up the football, and this was to be a big factor in today's game. Miami was thwarted. Then on third down, Mercury Morris fulfilled the promise he had shown on his kickoff return by bobbling a pitch out. New York recovered at the Miami 37. It capped a horrendous series of miscues for Miami and evened the breaks to one big one apiece. Namath quickly capitalized on it with a strike to Rich Castor, and the Jets had the lead in the momentum 14-7. With the score of 14-7, New York had the ball in their own 38 when John Riggins broke loose for a big gain. Riggins' great 40-yard run put the ball on Miami's 14 and gave the Jets an excellent chance to balloon their lead to 14 points. All right back when W.K. Hicks cut in front of Otto Stowe and carried the theft all the way to the Miami 9. New York again had used a Miami turnover to gain great field position. and again had an excellent opportunity to take control of the ball game. But once again, the Dolphin defense came through in magnificent fashion. When Manny Fernandez batted down Namath's third down pass, Bobby Howfield was called on and successfully kicked a field goal that brought the score to 17-7. Miami had now fallen 10 points behind, and with less than 3 minutes left in the first half, they finally pulled themselves together and moved the football. The defense looked like they would make the lead stand up as they shut down the Jets in their next series. But now, faced with 4th and punt, the Jets got a break. Keep your eyes on the kicker. Number 45, Curtis Johnson, almost blocked Steve O'Neill's punt, but he couldn't stop before running into O'Neill. Automatic first down for the Jets. The Jets would maintain possession on their 40, and Namath took advantage of the big break. With a 3rd and 12, watch number 40, Dick Anderson, as Namath's pump fake brings him in a step and enables number 13, Don Maynard, to break by him. The play worked for 41 yards, though Anderson claimed Maynard caught the pass out of bounds. A repeat reveals not only why the play worked, but that the referee's call on the catch was a difficult one. Anderson had been sucked in by Namath's pump fake to Riggins, swinging out of the backfield, and watched Maynard try to drag his left foot inbounds. In this split instant, you be the referee, you'll agree it's a tough job. Maynard's catch brought the ball to the Miami 20. And after chipping away to the 4, Namath made a strong fake to Emerson Boozer, put the ball on his hip, and hit tight end Wayne Stewart. The Jets now led 24-21 as the lead changed hands for the 4th time. On a repeat, watch how well Boozer carried out his fake, actually diving into the line. Then notice that Jake Scott, number 13, has come in toward the line, thinking Namath was on a bootleg run. That was all Namath needed to drop the ball over him and on to Stewart. Don Shula's 101st victory in just 10 years of head coaching was the Dolphins' 10th straight win in 1972. After only 10 weeks, the Dolphins, still undefeated, had clinched the AFC Eastern Division title, the first step in what looks like a return to the Super Bowl. It is the earliest that a team has clinched a playoff berth since San Diego did it in '61. But the Jets still have a shot, too. They had nearly beaten the Dolphins, and if they continue to play well and can win their last 4 games, they might make the playoffs as a runner-up team. Perhaps Don Shula's Dolphins and Weeb Ewbank's Jets have not seen the last of each other this season.
He was only concerned with cracking the tough Lion defense in a bid to capture a wild card berth for the playoffs. He chose a bristling running attack led off by number 44, John Riggins. Emerson Boozer was out with an injury, but Riggins was complimented nicely by number 42, Clifford McLean. Riggins and McLean both churned out over 100 yards and brought the Jets roaring back. Namath used his all-purpose running backs to set up 2 Bobby Howfield field goals. Then he upped his 1972 touchdown pass total to 20 with a perfect placement to number 88, Rich Castor. Castor's touchdown left the Landry-Namath shootout tied at 20. Taylor's run gave him 124 yards for the day and closed out a robust 37-20 Lion triumph as Detroit eased into a tie with Green Bay for first place in the NFC Central and eased New York out of contention for a wild card playoff berth. The New York Jets, still fighting to stay alive in the battle for a wild card playoff berth, face the improving New Orleans Saints in Shea Stadium. With Archie Manning growing in consistency week after week, the Saints threw a ball control offense at the Jets, which rolled up 22 first downs and 343 yards of total offense. New Orleans took their role as spoilers seriously as Archie completed 19 of 31 throws, many on third down to sustain 2 long touchdown drives. In the first quarter, Archie hit number 83, Dave Parks, with this 19-yarder to set up a New Orleans field goal. The Saints' first touchdown capped a 14-play drive when number 35, Bob Gresham, squirmed in after a 3-yard run. New Orleans' second drive consumed 18 plays and was consummated by an 8-yard Archie Manning to Bill Butler connection, making the score Saints 17, Jets 9 in the fourth quarter. But while the Jets' defense bent, it did not break. And this early Thomas interception set up Bobby Howfield's 5th field goal of the day, making it 17-15 with the period half gone. Meanwhile, Joe Namath was hitting 21 of 40 passes for 259 yards, but no touchdowns, as the Saints defense bottled up the Jets' attack and scotched Namath in the end zone. But in the last seconds, 1 completion and 2 interference calls brought Namath and the Jets into field goal range. With no time showing, Bobby Howfield hit his 6th three-pointer of the day, a 42-yarder, and the Jets were still alive and kicking for a playoff berth, beating the New Orleans Saints 18-17.
Bell goes out to the left, picks up Brown, and Bell gets the completion, and he moves out to the 41-yard line, covered there by Willie Brown, but little Eddie Bell is a man you have to really respect for his speed. Ball just short of his own 42, but it's Bell left. Maynard, the all-time leading yardage receiver, out to the right. Looking for Maynard. And he has it.
Absolutely perfectly thrown again.
That is throwing the football. Pretty to see.
Now, Gerald Irons, 86, jumps out of it. Namath right on target again, and beautiful in that zone defense, and Maynard is doing a fine job working it behind Nehemiah Wilson and ahead of George Atkinson.
All right, let's watch him work, and also watch just as Maynard turns. The ball is already thrown. Nehemiah Wilson is going back, protecting against the deep. You see, deep zone. You see Bill Biano coming out, number 41. He turns, that ball is there. I don't care what kind of defense they're in, they're not going to stop that one.
One of the best games have been performed when players haven't felt well. And here comes Harkey as the flag goes down.
Frank, that's a good point. A lot of times when guys don't feel at their top of their game, they really do feel a...
Oakland offside twice so far tonight, based upon that hitch as the linemen straighten up the...
Low kick. Turner has it, and he gets back to about the 39-yard line. Jerome Barkham out. 3rd down and 21, the ball at midfield. Both backs again coming out of the backfield. Castor. And Rich Castor has it. He may go all the way. And a good block from Maynard.
What a block by John Maynard. You're right, Frank. He really poured it on.
50 yards. Rich Castor, his 10th touchdown of the year.
This is the toughest situation in the world to hit a long pass. Third down and long yardage. Watch him come back. Good shot here on the ground. Watch this good protection again and look at the ball. Right over their heads. And here's Maynard, number 13. Watch him. He sees it. Castor has it. Out of his screen. He throws a good block. Look at Castor go. 50 yards and a touchdown.
And the Raiders from their own 37. LaMonica now drawing a crowd, but he's trying deep to Biletnikoff. It'll be picked off. That's Steve Tannen. And he's picking up blockers.
He really is that. It's Mike Ciani after him over there, and Mike got him.
Steve Tannen all the way back to the Raiders' 40-yard line. Finally dropped by Ciani.
He returned that 31 yards.
He's the other back, 36. Big draw, looking for Eddie Bell. And it's picked off. It is. No, out of bounds. And he had to come down inbounds with both feet. Did Willie Brown. Let's take a look.
He is a beautiful athlete to watch, Willie Brown. Watch him there with Eddie Bell. He's playing his man. He sees the cut, sees Bell, goes up. Now let's watch him. He catches the ball. He's way up in the air. Now watch him come down. Both feet have to be in. It looks that left foot is going out, and it did. Good call by that referee.
Again, putting both those backs out of the backfield. Up to Harkey. And Harkey upset by Phil Villapiano. Again, the back's checking for Red Dog and then moving out, and it goes to Castor.
That's pretty.
Maynard, top of your screen, just moved back. He didn't want to encroach the line of scrimmage. Both backs again out of the backfield. Maynard's open. And Tatum saved the touchdown. Jack Tatum. Maynard all the way down to the 26-yard line of the Raiders. For Harkey, second down and 7. Ball inside the 25. Namath this time holding both backs in. That usually means he's going to try and go deep, but he checks off to Maynard. And Maynard picked up by Phil Villapiano, and this is a rough cookie. The 20, mark it at the 18, and Namath will put it in the air again. And intended for Maynard again. And covering well, number 48, Nehemiah Wilson. Defeated Dolphins. And the Jets, well, they have to win it or they can forget it. Number 25. Good. It's all tied up. Bobby Halfield from 25 yards out. In front of Rich Sowles. Sandy on the inside. And right away. And Sowles gets the interception.
He checked him out.
He
Sowles got a pretty good hand.
And he came through. But that's what he was trying to do.
You're absolutely right.
Number 88 is on the right side as Namath again puts both those backs out.
Oh, me.
Eddie Bell wide open right in the slot between those three men, and you saw a great picture of the zone defense. The Jets just playing deep, but they keep their 4-3 alignment. Now they're in a three-man front four. Intended for Harkey and almost picked off by Dan Connors. Left branch is deep. This will be, well, the attempt at the fair catch by Davis, and wait a minute. The Jets recover. They're inside the 25. And it would give the Jets a 3-point lead. It's tied up right now with 13 seconds remaining in the half at 10 apiece. It's good. And unless they run the kickoff back, the Jets are going to go to the locker room 13-10 over the Raiders. Namath, who's been using his backs out of the backfield all night. Over the middle it goes to his big tight end, Rich Castor. Both backs circling out. Little Eddie Bell comes up with it. And he's out over the 30 to the 31. It is out to the right. Looking for Maynard, complete. And Gerald Irons saved what could have been a much longer gain. Looking for Maynard, complete.
That's it.
Inside the 25 to the 22.
What a night that veteran is having.
75 yards and that one touchdown. The end around to the tight end, Rich Castor.
There's a
Flag is down right in the middle, and don't speculate, but that generally involves holding.
It's the break that Oakland needed.
Referee Jim Tunney, at the bottom of your screen. We're going for Maynard, and he had his man beat. He had Nehemiah Wilson beat. He's kicked 2 tonight. 125 and 130. He kicked 6 last week. And he's kicked another one tonight. 3 tonight. So the lead is shortened to the Raiders 17. The New York Jets in a must game for them. The 17-16. We'll be back after this. They know what Namath has to do, and he's going to do it right now. Up in the air it goes to Maynard.
And that broke it.
That's
Maynard
the
over the
all-time
45, and that breaks that record.
Wouldn't you think they'd stop the play and give him the ball or something? This man has spent 14 years of his life and has established a record. Look at that split screen now.
Right in there.
Now thrown 7 to Don Maynard. We told you he broke the record of Ray Berry. Now on 1st and 10, going to the air, and Eddie Bell complete. Eddie Bell all the way down to the 30, and, well, I hope it doesn't sound like we're all Joe Namath fans, but he is incredible.
That's the point I wanted to make, Frank. It's that man.
2nd down and 10 from the 30. And he gets it out this time. Down and 10 from the 20. Again, time to throw. A flag goes down as a Raider really unloaded on a Jet.
I think that was Villapiano. And Maynard was the one that was the recipient of, I think, a Villapiano clothesline, if I'm not mistaken, Frank. We'll take a look at it. They did throw a flag. Let's see. Here's Maynard, number 13. Who is that? Wham. And that is Villapiano. Just a quick shot to the jaw. Then I'm going to step on him.
You know, I know what Namath has to be thinking. The big man, Markham, is in the 4-end offense of the Jets at this point. 3-man rush for the Raiders. Flag is down. Namath going to Castor and is picked off. But hold on, the flag is down.
I think the Raiders were offside, and I think the play will be called back.
2:55 remaining in the game. Flags go down, complete to Eddie Bell. But again, the flag's in the middle of the line of scrimmage.
I think this is against Winston Hill, number 75, for holding.
Green is in the slot. Blown back, Harkey. Namath firing, and this time almost picked off. Gerald Irons, number 86, and almost picked it off, and Namath is shaken up.
Namath is hurt.
Watch the ball. It appeared it was almost intercepted. Turns back around. It did go right through the hands of number 86 for the Oakland Raiders, and that would be Gerald Irons. Namath appears to be.
He just
gestured
to the bench and said that I want out. Sent last year filling in for Namath. He has a job cut out, and this time he goes down. He was trying to go deep, did not have time. Racing in there was Otis Sistrunk, number 60. And he is going to get the wide out Oakland pass rush. They know he has to go to the air. And in and out of the hands. Incomplete. Little Bobby Bell, or rather Eddie Bell, could not hold on. And Davis upset. Clock showing 2:34.
Look who's coming back.
And Joe Namath is coming back in. Be the ball game.
That's in there.
Well, how about it? Complete down to the 36-yard line is complete to, I believe, Barkham. Barkham, Bell, Castor. Namath back trying, he's going to go down. Down he goes at the 48-yard line. A lot of pressure in there. Now it's 3rd down and 31, and Eddie Bell leaves the game. 6 receptions, 89 yards. Joe Namath went out of the game, shaken up, and now he comes with the screen and is almost picked off by Tony Klein. Jets. Good protection. Joe throws it as far as he can to Markham. And he caught the football. Deflected, I believe.
Yep. That has to be one of the unbelievable catches.
And look at Joe. Hold on. He says, we still have a chance. Jerome Barkham. Give us a look again.
Frankie throws it up. I believe that was Tatum that came over him at 31. It just bounced out of their hands, and Markham caught it and kept going. Look at it from the other angle. We'll see if we can pick it up a little bit better for you. You take a look. Again, we told you in 1968, look at that catch. The Jets were leading to the left. And Markham caught the ball. He will not get it over the line, but there is a flag down. There will probably be some kind of interference call, whether it's offensive or defensive. We'll wait and see. Stop the clock anyway, Frank, against the Jets.
The play with a flag as fate began to smile on the Jets. Rookie Jerome Barkham, number 83, held the hands into which destiny delivered Namath's desperate heave, and New York again was lying on Oakland's front step. But how viciously does fortune turn? And given a break, the Oakland defense took matters into its own hands. Number 36, Steve Harkey, survived to the 1-yard line, where Oakland's number 48, Nehemiah Wilson, evened the score with Broadway Joe. After 403 yards passing but only 1 touchdown, Joe Willie was down and the Jets were counted out. As for the playoff-bound Raiders, their good fortune would run dry in Pittsburgh 2 weeks hence, when Frank R. Harris would immaculately receive a deflected pass and run the Raiders right out of the 1972 season.
By Emerson Boozer.